Hey friend, welcome to Healthy by Heather Brown. Do terms like mental health, intermittent fasting, and buzzy wellness words make you feel overwhelmed? If you don't know where to start with loving the life you already have and letting your good things grow until they become daily habits, I got you, mama. So join me as we unpack what it looks like to live a life well loved and redefine a new approach to health from the inside out. Think of this space as your girlfriend's group text with the occasional dad joke and point of view from my Yankee hubby, Eric. We promise to give you key takeaways that you can implement right away to pursue health in your mind, body, and soul because God made us that way. Don't stress. Let's hop on this Hot Mess Express together. Hello, everybody, and welcome back for another episode of Healthy by Heather Brown. I'm so amped today to have the founder of Eat Pluck on, which if you guys have not heard about the seasoning, which I am very curious to see how many of you guys have. It was new to me. And then I started researching everything I could find on it. I listened to podcasts. I looked at their website and I was like, this is epic. I think it's like the first of its kind on the market. So if you've always thought like, ooh, I hear people say I should have like liver or beef organs, but I would vomit if I ate that. I kind of felt the same way too. And then I found this cool dude that we're about to talk to. So I'm like, I don't even know what else I could say. So here we go. Welcome to the show, James with Pluck.
Hi, Heather. Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. So James, tell everybody a little bit about who you are, what you do, and your background so they just kind of get to know you a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, I'm a person who loved cooking as a little boy, about 7 years old, but did not realize it could be a career. So I spent the rest of my life just kind of doing it on the side as a hobby. And then 9/11 happened and I was like, okay, I'm going to just like life is precious, and just kind of that was like the Pearl Harbor of our generation, right? So
yes. I
reevaluated everything and I was like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that everything I do is got heart, that's passion. That's part of my passion. And I audited my life and realized, I've always loved cooking. Why am I not doing this? And so that's when I decided to go to culinary school. And from that moment on, I just kind of tapped into, I think, this amazing power of what I'm here to do. And it's always been about trying to help people. So I've always come about because people ask me like, oh, who's your favorite Top Chef? And I'll be like, I don't watch those shows, I'm not really I don't have time for it, but also B, that's not how I am with cooking. For me, cooking is how I show love. And it's really about how can I support someone in loving and themselves and being healthy within themselves? So I'm always looking at food from that perspective. For me, it's like, I don't care if I know how to make foie gras. It's like, I want to know, how do I help this person who's struggling with their health not feel deprived and yet still get all the nutrients they need when they have to, because they got tested, they have to remove all these foods that they normally eat all the time from their diet. So I'm all about like, how can I support your health, but do it with minimal impact to your emotional state?
Ooh,
and
yeah.
That's kind of where I went. And I private chef for a bunch of celebrities. I'll name drop since people love hearing them.
I do. Absolutely.
I cooked for Tom Cruise. I cooked briefly for George Clooney, who is a really great guy. And cooked for Gerard Butler and even got to cook for Barbara Streisand briefly. And just in general, I've cooked for a lot of celebrities. I'm not mentioning others, but had an amazing run like that. I had a meal delivery service in LA for 8 years. And then I moved from Los Angeles and we had our second child. And I realized, I was trying to support other people's health, but guess whose health was suffering? Mine.
Yours, wasn't it? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That's how it usually goes. So, it's crazy.
That's how it goes, right? Everyone in the health field is trying to help people. It's usually them who's suffering. We're all kind of martyrs to our own, our own beliefs around health. And so I was suffering and I fortunately have an amazing wife who was able to take on the family's financials so that I could be a stay-at-home dad and support our family in that way and get my health back. And so I was like that father with the baby on their chest all day. Like I was just like taking naps. I was taking naps with our little one and just just really recovering and starting to eat better and exercise, getting way more sleep than I previously was. And then I got the idea for Pluck. Like, it's like all my creative juices came back, all my vitality came back. And it was a beautiful thing that I was able to do. And I'm just so grateful for my kids, for my wife, and for this journey in general, where I could now create this product that I believe is getting the most important foods, like the most nutrient-dense foods into people's diets that they are not eating and should be, but doing it in an effortless, delicious way.
Absolutely. So I'm going to ask you specifically next about Eat Pluck and how it was formed and, what all's in it. Because some people are going to be completely like mind blown about the whole concept of organ meats in general. So we'll come back to that. But first I have to ask you, because most of my audience is moms. And so they're going to say, whoa, what did his family do to make him love cooking at the age of 7? And I have a little boy that just turned 8. So I'm like, teach us your secrets. Like, what did your parents do?
I know, right? Well, my mom always jokes, she is not a cook at all. And so she always jokes like, how did I get a chef for a son? Because growing up, and you're going to laugh and people will laugh at this, but it is completely serious. We knew dinner was ready because the smoke detector went off.
I'm dead.
We really did. Like, beep, 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 beep. Oh, dinner's ready.
Dinner's ready. That's epic.
Yeah. So that's truly why my mom's like, I don't know what happened. But, I actually think I've come to learn and believe that a lot of where we go on our journeys is due to contrast, right? So if you grow up not being fed the most foodie foods and not being fed the most nutritious foods, you potentially could swing the other way and like use that as a contrast of like, how do I get healthier? Like, or how do I feel better in my body? And I think one of the biggest lessons I learned, and sadly, I did not learn it in my home. I learned it when I got basically right out of college. I got a kidney stone. Oh, and wow. A kidney stone, for those that don't know, a kidney stone is one of the most painful experiences a male can have. Now, for a woman, it's probably childbirth, right?
But it's likened to that. Yeah.
It's close. It's the closest a man can get to having a child, the pain that it comes with having a child. And yet it's still not close, to give you an idea of how intense it was, right? And how weak us men are, in terms of
no.
No. Well, I mean, women are just, they can endure so much more pain than we give, than I think they give themselves credit for. I mean, childbearing is truly amazing. But so I experienced that, and that experience of having a kidney stone taught me that, what I eat affects my health. And I know that sounds so simple, but I know people in their 50s that still don't know that. I mean, most people don't know that, because look at what people are buying in the grocery store. Oh,
exactly.
Right? If we knew how food affected our health, we would not be buying that bag of Doritos, those Oreos, or all those different foods that are major sellers. Coca-Cola is so $1 trillion business. You know what I mean? It's like there's a reason why all these addictive comfort foods are dominating the standard American diet. And I genuinely believe it's because people don't realize what they're doing to their body.
I would agree with that. And I'm curious because I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, in case you can't tell from my accent. I'm clearly from the South. So you've lived in a lot of bigger cities than I have, and obviously like New York and California. And I'm just curious, is there a like forward conversation about how our FDA isn't regulating foods and the things that are in our products versus like Europe? To me, that is just astounding. And I just don't know if that's like on the forefront of things that even people care about in those areas, or I don't give me like a general thought, I guess.
Well, I mean, you only know what you know, right? And so most people are not thinking about food like that. Most people think if it's in the grocery store, that means it's healthy and or safe for me to eat, safe. Right? Yeah. To your point, we think that it is being regulated. We think that the government does have our back, and it just doesn't. I mean, the biggest thing is that we have lobbyists, and those lobbyists are controlling our politicians and the decisions those politicians make. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
And so I think you have to just kind of be smart about that and know that every person selling a product, including me, right? So every person selling, even including influencers out there who are trying to get product, right? Everyone is a business. They're trying to make money. So everyone's got an angle. And I'm not saying they're being deceitful. I'm saying that they figure out what lane they're in and they dig into it. They're like, this is my lane. This is what I believe. I believe, vegan is the way to eat, or I believe carnivore is the way to eat. And it's like, is it true? Is it not true? I mean, if anything, if anyone's feeling like I am, I'm feeling overwhelmed by the amount of content out there right now. Like it's like I grew up my whole life being told you should be eating your vegetables. And now if you're following any animal-based or carnivore, influencers, they're all saying, don't eat your vegetables. Yeah. It's like,
it's wild.
It's wild, right? It's mind blowing. And so, I've been in this business over 20 years. And even when I started, the thing I realized even at the beginning was that the trends come and go. But what I think doesn't change is real food. Like if we're going to do anything, if we're going to just go for the lowest hanging fruit, and the lowest hanging fruit in my judgment is just make sure it's real food. Like move away from those processed packaged foods that have tons of ingredients. Look for foods that are ingredients versus that have ingredients. And usually that's all on the outside of the grocery aisle, because that's where they keep all the perishable foods. And then try to minimize what you do get in the middle of those aisles. And if you do get something,
honestly, look at the ingredient list. And if it's a paragraph instead of what looks like a sentence, that's your first red flag.
Totally. Right. Totally. Yeah. And you know what also helps is going to the grocery store with a list. Like don't go there not knowing what your end goal is, because then you're just going to make buys based on pricing or emotional state. And that is disaster, absolute disaster. Like you got to use your intelligence. We are like, the way I look at it is that the food, like the food industry, the market that we are, it's like its own battle, right? And we are our own team against this battle. And we have to use our intelligence and our honesty, our intuitiveness around what we should or we shouldn't be eating. And we cannot just believe what packaging says. We cannot just believe what other people tell us. Like you have to follow your own body's instinctual needs. Yeah. And that's hard to do for example, when you've been eating the standard American diet your whole life. It's really hard to do. You do have to kind of get a little space from that diet to then recalibrate your palate so that you can actually taste the way food really tastes.
And I love that.
I'll give you an example. Like, so when I had that meal delivery service, we used to have this program called the Sugar Control Detox. And really what it was it was removing anything that was sweet. So literal sugars, right? It was removing, like most potatoes, it was removing pastas, so starches and grains. It was also removing those. And basically what you were left with is protein, some good fat, and maybe a little bit of resistant starch in the form of like a potato, a sweet potato, or like a parsnip or something like that, right? Okay. And people would just do this for 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks, most men would lose about 20 to 23 pounds.
Shut your mouth.
I am so not kidding.
Gosh.
It's insane, right? And women would lose a little less because women takes longer. It's not that they wouldn't if they kept eating like that. They would lose weight as well. But most women lost between around 12 to 15 pounds.
In 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. And then what happened was that a lot of chronic illness stuff went away, but more importantly, like, skin issues, they slept better, things like that. But what ultimately happened too is that we recalibrated their palate. So when they went to try, let's just say before the detox, they were doing like 3 glasses of wine a night. Well, they could barely finish a glass. They could barely finish half a glass because they've discovered how sweet it was. And then they couldn't even, like, they would eat a strawberry, and the strawberry was like its own dessert suddenly.
Oh,
it wasn't just
100%.
fruit, right?
Yes.
So it's the power we have to take control of our diet, our palate is phenomenal. We just got to do it.
100%. So I'm on a 90-day detox right now with my naturopath, Dr. John. He's been on the podcast multiple times. And I do want to speak a little bit to what you just said about the not eating vegetables. So it's no sugar, no processed foods, no dairy, no gluten. It's essentially probably like what your 2-week sugar cleanse was. I'm thinking very similar. But one thing he's told me is that he would like for me to get most of my calories, my fat, my protein from meats, which leads us back to Eat Pluck. So that's where I want to go next. But he was like, I actually would like for you to be eating less vegetables. And I know that you're going to get a lot of those nutrients in the beef organ supplements that I'm having you take as your multivitamin. Because he was saying, if you follow any of these carnivore people, what James is referring to is that unfortunately, like our soil, they're saying is very depleted. So they don't think it has as many vitamins and minerals as what it once did. But anyway, all that to say, James, do you mind sharing a little bit about Eat Pluck, how you formed it, and maybe just for somebody that's like, I don't even know anything about organ meats, why is it good for us?
Sure. So organ meats, a lot of us that promote organ meats like to say, we call them Mother Nature's multivitamins. So, like when you get pregnant, your doctor will say, oh, you need to have a prenatal, right? So everything that's in a prenatal from the vitamins, there's usually B vitamins, there's A, there's some D, there's E, there's K even. A lot of times there's lots of iron, there's calcium, copper, magnesium, folate, selenium. These are all things that since there's a lot of mothers are listening, you've all taken a prenatal and you've probably recognized, oh, this is what's in a prenatal, right? Well,
and
guess
also
what?
Do a deep dive on the prior episode. I'll link for you guys about supplements, because I will raise my hand first and say I took the wrong prenatal supplements. Some of these brands are more about the marketing, like you were saying earlier, James, and less about the actual quality of the vitamins. So I'm going to link back to an episode in case that's blowing your mind too, that you guys can research and learn more about. But continue.
Yes. No, that's such a good point, because not all supplements are made the same. So I'm glad you said that. So the science is telling you this is what is required to make life. And that's why they recommend prenatals, right? Well, it's all in organ meats. And that's what's kind of blows. It's wild. It literally is all in organ meats. Now, are you going to get it all just from liver? Not necessarily, but you're going to get a lot of it. But that's why. So what I did was I took liver, heart, kidney, spleen, and pancreas, 5 organs. And I took them in a freeze-dried powdered state, which is the same state they're in when you swallow the capsules. But I combined them with organic spices and herbs. So then that way, instead of swallowing your nutrition, you're eating it. So I'm basically trying to take what was already a food that we're not eating because we think it's icky, we don't know how to cook, or we don't know how to source it. Sure. So I took the thing that was already a food, and I just changed the state it's in, the freeze-dried powder state, and I turned it into something you can just sprinkle on your food all the time. So you're getting the microdosing of those micronutrients frequently, which is cumulative effect.
Amazing.
And it's such a, I just basically all I did was identify this is the most nutrient-dense food. It's also extremely bioavailable, which means that our bodies can absorb it easily. And there's a big difference between what is out there. Synthetic vitamins are not necessarily, sometimes when you go to absorb them, you might get more, sometimes you might get less. You don't know. But with real food, it is going to be in the most absorbable form. And also many people might remember, like when you're told, here, take these pills, and they say, take these with food, right? Your doctor might say, take this with food. Well, that's because they're fat soluble vitamins. And when it's fat soluble, that's why you need to take it with food. But guess what? You don't need to take it with food when it is a food. So organ meats have fat soluble vitamins as well, but you can just take them as is because it is a food. Wow. So this is truly in Mother Nature's form. So you have not only bioavailable vitamins, not only a plethora of vitamins, but also the vitamins and minerals in the most absorbable form. So you have complementary vitamins and minerals together that support their absorption. And yet we're not eating these amazing food, these superfoods. I call them ancestral superfoods, right? Because it's something that our ancestors ate, but we're not eating. And so I was like, I just wanted to solve that. And by putting them in this seasoning, what's amazing about it is that this seasoning actually makes other food taste better, and it's due to the umami taste. So we have 5 tastes. We have sweet, salty, which is what most American standard diet kind of resides in, is sweet and salty.
Sure.
But we also have sour and bitter, and then we have umami. And each one is unique, and each one has its own purpose to kind of brighten and change your palate. So, for example, mothers out there, if you have a picky eater, for example, which, like I said, most of our diets are residing in that salty sweet. Mm-hmm. What you want to do is start incorporating those other 3 and start incorporating foods that have sour, bitter, and umami in them. And what you'll see, and you don't have to do all in or nothing, right? Treat it like you would an animal. If you were changing an animal's food, you would do 90% of the old food and 10% of the new food. And then you would slowly, adjust it until you were doing, 90% of the new food and 10% of the old food, until then it was 100% of the new food, right? You would slowly adjust their food to take care of their delicate, their delicate digestion, right? Sure. And it's the same thing with kids. You just got to subtly change their food a little bit. You can take, for example, sauerkraut or even pickle juice, and you can just add a little bit to their mashed foods, for example, or even add to their soups and stuff like that. And that will give you the sour. You can use some bitter greens, like take some bitter greens during the winter, and you can make pesto with those, add those to your pesto. And then now you're getting a little bit of bitterness. So there's lots of things you could do, but the umami is in the organ meats. And so when I get feedback all the time from parents, how we all have those foods that are on rotation, like every other week you do the same food, right?
Yes.
So I get comments all the time. All I did differently with this rotation menu was I used Pluck. And that night my family freaked out and wanted seconds. They didn't understand. Like, they were like, what did you do? This is so good. And she's like, all I did was add Pluck. And it's the umami. The umami brightens the other flavors of the food. So it's kind of, and I didn't know this when I made it. So this was kind of something I discovered later. But not only are you superfooding everything you add it to, so not only you're adding nutrients to everything you add it to, you're also making that food taste better. So it's kind of a win-win.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so I do have to ask you this, James, because I know that you're really good at changing a comfort food into a healthier food. Do you mind telling me what one of your go-to favorite easy recipes is to make healthier and how you do it? I'm sure.
One is like, so I like to get things into kind of the way I'm doing with organ meats, where I'm getting organ meats into people's diets and they don't even know it, right? When you you could sprinkle the seasoning on anyone's food and they won't realize, if you don't tell them it's organ meat, they will not know. I guarantee they will not know.
That's incredible. Well, and when I listened to James on another podcast, he was talking about how kids will literally just pick up the Eat Pluck and almost like lick their fingers in it like sugar, which is if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what will.
Yeah, we haven't met a kid yet that doesn't like it.
Bravo.
And that doesn't mean they know what it is. That doesn't mean they don't know what it is. It doesn't matter. They don't need to know what it is. You don't, when you put lemon pepper on your chicken, do you say, oh, guess what? I used a lemon pepper seasoning and this is what's in it. You don't go through the ingredients. You just say, I just put I put a seasoning on the chicken. Do you like it? You know what I mean? Yeah. You keep it very simple. They don't need to know everything, but it's like, but so at my house, what I do is I will do that with even vegetables. So like I mentioned pesto. Pesto is a great way to get other things in someone's diet. So a lot of people default to basil, right? But you don't have to use basil. You could use a little bit of basil and then you can use arugula. You could also use spinach if you want to. You can add different, instead of doing like pine nuts, you could do pumpkin seeds. You could do walnuts. You could do you could switch up the different nuts or seeds. And then you also really it's a great way to use olive oil. Of course, you're getting some really good olive oil in there. Yes. And I find it really flavorful too. You can really mix it up different flavors with pesto. They don't all have to be green. It doesn't all necessarily have to be garlic focused. You can do other things. You can do shallots, for example. You can have it more oniony and use scallions or chives. Like, you can really mess around with it and have it be very herby and flavorful. So I like doing that. But then my kids really love pasta.
Sure.
And back in the day, like I'm not a big pasta guy, but back in the day, I used to use spaghetti squash a lot to move away from grains if I could. But nowadays, like that's kind of the main way they get their grain if they do have any grain. And so we just, we're gluten free, so they're already kind of limited when we go out. So it's like we don't want to be. I find with being a parent of where you're putting any kind of food specifics on a child, you really got to find a balance, because you don't want the boomerang effect, which is basically where you keep them so restricted their whole life that you make them overly conscious about food, and then the minute they're out of your house, they go crazy, right? They binge eat and they just eat whatever they want, and then it's kind of like you've defeated the purpose. Like, so what I'm really trying to do at home, because I have an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old, what I'm really trying to do is I'm trying to create a baseline so that they know this is what my body feels like when it's eating real food, right? So just a really simple baseline of like, this is my body on healthy food. And then that way, and then I try to support that with language of like, how does this body feel or how does this food feel in your body? Those kind of things, like really get them to notice how they feel when they're eating this way. Wow, your skin looks so clear, whatever, any way to support, their body's reacting positively to the food. Right. Sure. And then when they eat differently out of our house, I also make sure, well, how does that feel in your body? And my daughter, like, for example, they were at a summer camp this summer, and my oldest totally came back with acne. Yeah. And she didn't have it before she went. And so I was like, why do you, and then I didn't go in and like, oh, you just ate, I could tell you ate crap, I didn't do that. I was more like, so what do you think, how do you think you got that? And I let her to kind of answer it. And I let her kind of deduce that, oh, well, I was eating a lot of different foods. And then after a couple of weeks of eating at home after the summer, her skin cleared up. And I'm like, well, did you notice how much your skin just cleared up? What do you think that is? But letting her come to the conclusions, but just kind of bringing awareness to it a little bit. And I'm finding that helps a lot, because I definitely am not a fan of shaming people around what they eat.
Agree. Hey mama, do you feel like you are surviving on chicken nuggets and goldfish and haven't stepped in a gym since college? Or maybe, on the other hand, you feel like you're checking every health box and are still hitting a brick wall? Well, I'm here to help you redefine what it means to be healthy from the inside out. I'm a former fitness instructor and everyday mom who is passionate about helping you create a beautiful life you freaking love. So I'm opening the doors to the Healthy by Heather Brown membership to the public, and can't wait to walk alongside you and be your cheerleader. When you join, you'll be added to my exclusive Facebook group. You'll receive my Sunday reset training that will help you create promising, sustainable, healthy choices from the inside out, which will in turn lead to a more joy-filled life for busy moms. Live coaching and workout classes with yours truly. You asked and I listened. We'll talk about how to balance your whole health when you have kids and life get busy with school and activities. It includes grocery haul ideas and accountability as we all reset together each Sunday. There will be so much offered that you won't find anywhere else on the internet. Are you ready to take one step out of stress, shame, unhealthy boundaries, and fatigue, and add healthy rhythms to the Hot Mess Express? When you're ready, I'll see you on the other side of the link in the show notes. I'm excited and ready to hold your hand and meet face to face. I do want to mention something too, because earlier you talked about how like there's such an emotional tie-in with your food and your health. And we talk a lot around here about mind, body, spirit health. And you said like, I know this seems obvious, but what I eat affects my health. So is there any tie-in that you even feel like you've unearthed, even for you or your wife or your kids or anybody that you were a celebrity chef for, where you really felt like I am watching this play out with their whole being of health, not just what they're eating, making them physically feel?
Absolutely. I've had many examples, but one of the best was this young man who, when I met him, he was 18, something right around there, 18, 19. He never had a job. He was diagnosed with extreme ADD, and he smoked, and he had horrible skin. Mm-hmm. And we were friends, and I initially brought him in. I mentioned I had a meal delivery service. So I first brought him in as a dishwasher, and And just from him being in the kitchen and watching what we were doing, and I never pushed anything on him, but he eventually one day, very early on when he started working there, he said, "Hey, James, I see what you guys are cooking, and I want to understand, like, why are you doing it that, and why are you, for example, doing cauliflower instead of potatoes, or, you know," he was just kind of like, "Why are you doing these different things?" He's like, "I'd like to do stuff differently, you know, because I'm not feeling great and all that." And I was like, "Well, how about we start with one thing?" And he said, "Okay." I said, "How about instead of drinking all those Diet Cokes and those Cokes that you're drinking, that instead you nix all the juices and the sodas and all those kind of drinks, and you just drink water. Like, just, that's the only change I want you to make."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Okay." And no joke, Heather, like that one change got him eventually to stop smoking, cleared his skin, got him eventually to like start thinking and taking care of his body, to the point where now he regularly goes and works out.
Wow.
He like has a relationship. He's had multiple jobs. He no longer has to take ADD like medicines and stuff like that. Like it was literally the stepping stone towards him realizing, giving him that contrast of how his body could feel differently if he just removed certain stimuluses and or stimuli, I guess that's what you say.
I wasn't gonna say that.
But it was amazing. And so I always try to tell people, like, start with little things, little movements. A lot of people focus on, oh, you got to go all in or nothing. And I'm like, no. It's the same way I talk about Pluck. It's like, it's not about how much you do in one sitting. It's about doing it often. It's the things we do often that move the needle. It's the habits. They're either going to be good habits or they're going to be bad habits, right? Just 100%. If you do good ones, though, they're going to move the needle eventually. And but the key is you just got to do them regularly. And I find that truly is the best thing. And so I'm always telling people, like, okay, so you can't necessarily change anything around your food. Here's one thing you could do is after every meal, you go for a walk. That's it. You get outside, you go for a walk, and it might only be a 15-minute walk, 20-minute walk, but you go for a walk. Boom.
Yes, exactly. Number one, it's going to lift your mood, research has shown. Number two, it's also going to help your digestive tract digest that food you just ate. And what you're saying that just happened with this young man is he did habit stacking. He didn't know he was starting habit stacking. That's what he did. And I used to teach Pure Barre for 10 years, and I love working out, but I always told women the hardest part is just showing up. Once you show up, I'm going to carry the rest of the burden for you. But I love that you invited him to show up for himself. That's incredible.
And I find too, it's like we can't force anyone to change. We have to let them choose it, because the reality is particularly diet. Diet is extremely personal for everybody. And I've found in my 20 years in this business that people don't change their diet unless one of two things happens. Either they get sick or someone they love gets sick. But that's kind of it.
Wow.
And so that's kind of scary too, right? Because that means you're waiting until there's a fire. And I'm a big fan of, like, don't wait till there's a fire. If you see smoke, then then you got to motivate change, but you have to motivate it. And really, the key then is learning, well, what is smoke? What are the signs of smoke? And so those might be skin issues. Those might be you're struggling with sleep. That might be your your eyes are cloudy red every day. When you go to wake up, it's like really hard for you to wake up. That might be when you stick your tongue out, you've got ridges all along your tongue. That might be, I don't know, other, heavy breathing when you walk up stairs. I mean, there's so many things, right?
But
maybe
we don't
when you
stop and slow down and listen to our body so often, because our culture is just hustle, hustle, hustle. And so if you don't ever stop and have that pause, and we talk a lot of times around here about a Sunday reset. I try to do a Sunday reset every week, and I'm just pausing and being like, how did last week go? How do I feel? Am I tired? Do I need to find a new devotional? It's evaluating my mind, body, spirit, health. And then being like, okay, what actionable steps am I going to put in the calendar to make that happen this week? But I am so glad you're bringing attention to that, because people just are like, well, I just live with that. That's just what my body does. And it's like, no, that's a smoke signal, to your point.
And you have an opportunity to do a devotional 3 times a day. If you eat meals 3 times a day, right? Right. Literally, you sit down before you eat, you do a little prayer or gratitude or anything like that, where you get to just take a deep breath and then, be conscious about what you're about to eat and or how you want to feel from that food. And then start eating, and just you'll find even just taking that simple moment before, you suddenly eat differently and you digest differently. And then suddenly you're feeling differently. You know what I mean? You start to notice how does this food feel in my body? It's like, it's just creating those moments, those routines where you do take a breath. I find that and when you eat is the simplest one to do.
Yes. Yes. And yes. And even if your toddler's screaming at you next to you, you can just say, "Dear Lord, thank you for this food. Help us to be calm today. Amen." Mamas might need that.
we had, this will be a fun one. So I don't even know if I should do the whole thing, but so we when our kids were little, we had this, it's a philosophy of education. I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but we used to do a little song. So we'd all grab hands and we go, welcome. It'd be like a welcome to your table. And you go through like, it's kind of like, welcome to our table. We all join hands together. Blessings on the blossoms, blessings on the fruit, blessings on the stems and leaves, and blessings on the root. Thank you for our, and then whatever it is, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Now put your napkins on your lap.
I'm like, I'm going to challenge you, girl gang, to do that with your kids. Either say a blessing or make up a fun one or do something
song
like
or something. Yeah.
And let us know. We would love to hear that kind of stuff. It's so fun.
Totally. And what you're doing is there's a bigger picture, right? You're getting, and the end goal, you don't have to articulate this to anyone, but the end goal is for you to be more sensitive to how do you feel in your body? Yes. That's really all we got. I mean, I'm always telling people, look, you can follow whatever diet you want to follow. I'm not here to shame anyone and to eat a certain way. I have learned what works for me, and I do have beliefs over what works, but everyone has to go on their journey. But here's all I ask is whatever you decide is that you follow one truth, and that's how your body reacts to that diet. Don't listen to any gurus out there, and because you might be feeling bloated. Let's say you read a book about plant-based and you're like eating, or vegetarian or vegan, and you're like, well, I feel so bloated and I'm like, I have so much more flatulence, all the time. But so-and-so told me, this book told me that, that I'm supposed to eat this way. So I'm going to do it. It's better for the planet, da, 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 da. And you still feel horrible. Right. And so the one person you're not listening to in that situation that is ultimately, in my mind, the person that knows the most is your body. Mm-hmm. Your body is the truth sayer. Your body does not know how to lie to you. So that's the voice. That's the one voice who should be above all else in terms of your diet, because we are the only species in the world that looks at someone else to tell us what to eat.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. How wild is that? Like,
it's
and
wild.
Really, when you think about it, it's like every single woman, every single man, your body was created differently. Like, I have different struggles, obviously, than James' body's going to have. Your body is intuitively going to tell you what you enjoy and what you don't. In fact, James, will you tell, oh gosh, we're going way too long. So I'm like, we'll wrap this up, but will you tell them your comment about, I talk a lot about you need to be drinking, obviously, half your body weight in ounces if you can in water, if your body says that that's the right amount. And we talk about salt a lot. So I love what you said about when you take the pinch of salt and when you know to stop. Will you explain that?
Yes. And this is absolutely why I recommend you eat your nutrition versus swallow it. So when we swallow, take pills for anything. Now it's one thing if you've been tested and you know specifically what your body needs. I'm not saying don't do supplements. If you've been tested and know you need specific stuff and you're getting support, follow that support, right? But if you're just doing, you're just kind of self-assessing, and you're just doing things because someone told you to do them, then really it's ultimately guesswork. So when we take salt and we put it on our tongue, our body will tell us more or less immediately, and everyone can connect with this because we've probably all done it, right? Just like, when I was a kid, I used to take bites out of the butter, in my parents' house, and they would joke, "Hey, there's a rat in the kitchen," But I was taking bites of that butter. Isn't that interesting though? That now we have the knowledge of like how good the butter fat is for you. You know what I mean? Like clearly, I instinctively knew that as a child because I was taking bites out of that butter stick.
Absolutely.
But point being though is when you do that salt, your body is telling you how much or less you need. And the minute you don't need anymore, it doesn't taste right. The salt suddenly tastes too strong, or it just doesn't, your body is literally communicating with you, no more. Okay. Now, the difference though is if I took a salt tablet, which exists, right? So if I swallowed a salt tablet, maybe 15, 20 minutes later, I might feel bloated. And I'm like, wait, why am I got too much salt. So one is working completely with your body, where your body is communicating what it needs, versus the other being like delayed response and really just guesswork. Yeah. And that's why so many people I know, and people come up to me all the time at conferences, they're like, yeah, I'm taking, so-and-so supplement, organ meat supplements, and I feel nauseous every time I eat them. And I'm like, yeah, because you probably don't need 6 capsules.
Your body maybe only needs 3 or 2.
Totally.
Or whatever.
And in women, right? Women bleed every month. And so you go in and out of needing more or less, right? But how are you going to know that unless you're eating it? But I get it. You're not going to go out and eat a liver because most people find them icky. So that's what I'm saying. Like even if you use it in the form of pluck, it's like, at least now you're eating it and your body will tell you more or less. And that's exactly why I believe kids are sticking their fingers in it and putting it on the tongue. It's the same reason I was eating that butter, is because your body knows what it needs.
100%. I love that. Well, James, give everybody a little bit of where they can find you online, where they can buy Eat Pluck, all the things, and then we'll wrap.
Sounds good. So eatpluck.com is the website. You can find us on socials at Eat Pluck. You can find me at Chef James Berry. Please check it out. We have lots of discounts available all the time for you, for your first order. And then of course we'd love to hear feedback, tag us. I love when people show people their first taste. So videotape your first taste and tag us, because I really want to show people, to your point, you brought this up already, which is, it doesn't taste bad. It doesn't taste like you're eating organ meats. It just tastes really delicious. And you're suddenly in it. It's amazing, because you're like, oh, there's food that I wasn't eating because I thought it was icky is now delicious. And you're eating 5 organs that you probably never touched in your life.
For sure. That's awesome. Well, James, I really appreciate you being on today. It was so much fun to chat with you and hear from you. I'm going to ask you one last question that I ask every guest, and that is, how do you reset?
Oh, it used to be I would watch something on TV, just kind of decompress. But nowadays it's just, I get outside. I go for a walk, or I ride my bike. I'm just finding that to be so nurturing.
I love that. I'm a big walker too. And as soon as we move into a new house one day, and we have space for a bike, I'm going to be all about that life. So
nice.
Well, you were a joy. Thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for tuning in and listening to all the incredible information we learned today. I hope you guys go check out Eat Pluck. I think mine is actually on the way, and I can't wait to try it for the first time. So if you guys will go down below, I'll link up everything that he mentioned here. And then also, y'all make sure that you screenshot this episode, share it to your socials, tag us, and let us know one fact that you learned today that maybe blew your mind, because I know my mind was blown multiple times. Y'all have a great day. See you next Tuesday. Chili's baby back ribs.
Chili's baby back ribs.
Barbecue sauce.
Hey, so one of the more interesting ways to kick off the marriage corner. But I figured we'd have a little fun with this marriage corner. And I love a good list. I love a good ranking, and we've done this before in the past. But Leighton was actually the inspiration for this list. And I think a few weeks ago, Heather, you asked Leighton what his favorite restaurant was. And it took him a second, but you told me that he came out, he said, my favorite restaurant is Applebees. The funny thing is that Leighton has never been to Applebee's.
Not once.
I was like, buddy, you've never been to Applebee's. He's like, no, but I've heard it's great. And you know what? He's not wrong. There's a lot of good things about Applebee's, but
I think that goes to show that a lot of NFL commercials must be geared towards Applebee's.
It's true. It was like when they were going through their Dollarita promotion as well, too. which I don't think really, spoke to Leighton, but, it really spoke to me. And there was also some great Instagram of people getting pretty sloppy on dollar readers. So
that's hilarious.
Anyways, lots of good Instagram memes, things of that nature. But anyways, along those same lines, I thought we would kind of do just a quick rapid fire of each of our top 5 casual chain restaurants and kind of talk about things that you like about them. I feel like children of the 80s, the mid 80s, which you and I were, casual chain restaurants were at their peak, I would say
100%.
In the early 90s, maybe even like early 2000s. But that was, for us, if we got a good report card, you're going to a nice casual chain restaurant in Fort Wayne, Indiana. If you got all A's on your report card, you were going somewhere nice, going somewhere fancy.
Well, I tell Eric that is his silver spoon speaking, because what did I get? I got an ice cream cone from Baskin Robbins. He got a full meal. Dang.
Yeah, lots of incentives in the Brown family. All right, so starting off, give me your 5th best casual chain restaurant.
Okay, I don't know if you're going to let this count, and I don't know if it's nationwide or not. So does Beef O'Brady's count?
Yeah,
oh, great. Okay,
for sure.
So I really love Beef O'Brady's. It just has a sentimental spot in my heart because after a Christmas program last year, me and Leighton went. So we had a mommy son date, and they had live music, which I don't feel like many chain restaurants would have. And so he danced with me to Morgan Wallen's "Sand in My Boots," and I just love going there for a casual meal. Me, and the boys will sit out sometimes on the patio and enjoy the sunset. And they a lot of times have good drink specials, and it's affordable. So I like the Irish theme. They usually have events that are family friendly. I love them.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick to start off with. I feel like it's one that a lot of people wouldn't pick. But yeah, Beef O'Brady's, if you haven't been, go check it out. So, all right, ready for my
I'm
5th?
ready. Number 5.
Number 5 for me. I'm going with a Southern classic. It's got to be Cracker Barrel.
Oh, I love Cracker Barrel.
I think some people might have that higher on their rankings, but for me, I'm putting it at 5. The food's always going to be good. The kids are going to be entertained. You have the little tea game on all the tables, which, keeps kids entertained. But just the breakfast foods, the ham is great. I do love a big country fried steak. It's my go-to with the white gravy. Delicious.
Oh, man. Well, you might hear that coming from me later on in my list. It got a little higher from me, maybe some in the South. But next up on my list, Number 4, yes. I have Chili's. And the reason that I have Chili's is because when we were in high school, the Chili's molten lava cake, oh my gosh. Like, I did not think a better dessert existed on the planet. I could afford it as a high school student on my money I earned at the grocery store as a grocery checkout girl. And then you could get the cheap apps there. Oh my gosh. Win, win, win.
Well, it's interesting you put that at 4 because the one that I put it for, very similar. We already mentioned it. Leighton's favorite restaurant, Applebees. I will say their new jingles, which they've just ripped off popular songs and put them to their commercials. I'm not a fan of that, but growing up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, Applebees is where you met up after a high school football game. And like you said, the appetizers at Chili's were very similar to the appetizers at Applebees. Boneless wings, can't go wrong with those. I'm guessing Chili's has the little riblets as well, too. Applebee's, they pretty much have the same menu. You can't go wrong.
Oh, no, but I like the ribs growing up at Tony Roma's, which is now out of business, I think. Oh, R.I.P.
My grandparents were huge fans of that place. But Applebee's and Chili's, I think, is an appropriate place at number 4 for both of our rankings. What do you got for number 3?
For number 3, I have what you mentioned earlier, which is Cracker Barrel. Can't go wrong. I never got to go as much as I wanted to. We were more of a Waffle House family, but I don't think Waffle House really counts, does it?
It's
on the line.
I think it's on the line, but I think you made the right judgment call to leave it off.
Okay,
leave it off the list.
Cracker Barrel is my number 3.
So real quick, some of the ones that I left off that I felt like were just a little too fancy. Obviously, Shake Shack. Shake Shack wasn't not around when we were growing up. I didn't want to put Chipotle on there. Maybe you put Chipotle on there, but I think of more like you sit down at these rrestaurants and do that. So
a server comes to you. My parents are big on that still happening.
Shake Shack is too nice. So is number 3 for me?
Mm-hmm.
This is tough. I think for number 3 for me, I'm going to go, it's very similar to Applebee's, and there's not as many of these around anymore. but Ruby Tuesdays.
Oh, that salad bar.
I feel like Ruby Tuesdays is just a half notch above Applebee's or Chili's, primarily, like you said, because of the salad bar. Great salad bar. And actually, Ruby Tuesday is where I met your parents to ask if I could marry you to your dad. So I will always have a healthy fear and appreciation for Ruby Tuesday.
For Ruby Tuesday. And I'm sure you like really nailed their love language too. They love a classic restaurant like that.
I did. I even paid, I figured, what could go wrong? I can't remember exactly what your dad said. He was like, I think he said, "Are you sure?"
Sounds about right.
He's like, marriage is for the rest of your life, right? I said, "Yes, sir, I do." He said, "Okay." And then we sat there and ate in silence for the rest of the day.
No, you
I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's funny.
So number 3 is got a special sentimental place in my heart.
I love it. Okay, so I'm at number 2. Number 2 for me is Outback.
Oh, man.
My gosh.
I think we might be along the same lines on our top 2. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, I couldn't decide whether to put Outback or Lone Star. I was a Lone Star hostess and then a waitress for a very short stint when I realized that was not meant for me. I was not a good waitress. I was a great hostess, though. Talking to people, got it on lock.
Can I put an honorable mention in real quick?
Oh, here it comes. Yep, go for it.
Do you know what I'm going to say?
Yes.
It's got to be Bob Evans.
I knew it.
I should have put Bob Evans above Cracker Barrel, actually, because once again, growing up in the Midwest in Fort Wayne, I was a server at Bob Evans in high school. That's when they still had the smoking and the non-smoking sections. They loved to put me in the smoking section, which was really interesting. They didn't tip as well over there either. And my white shirt over my button-down shirt over my navy blue apron. A lot of cash tips back in the day. Met a lot of interesting folks. Learned a lot of lessons at Bob Evans. Definitely a good job. But that's my honorable mention for Bob Evans.
And people in the South probably don't even know what that is. I didn't know what it was till I met Eric.
People know Bob Evans, I think. But
well, now only because their mashed potatoes and mac and cheese are in Publix.
It's true. They've sold out. But number 2, I had the same. There was 2 restaurants. If we got
hang on, no, time out. The main reason I chose it though is because of the bloomin' onion.
Bloomin' Onion is great.
That thing.
The menu is great. But number 2 for me, there was 2 restaurants that we would go to if we did well on our report cards, and one of them was Outback. And like you said, the Bloomin' Onion. I was a big Alice Springs chicken guy.
Oh, yeah.
So a couple chicken breasts, melted cheese, bacon. I think it had this honey mustard sauce on it. Still a go-to. It's great. I think you can they have special deals where you can get a sirloin, a side, and a salad for $10.99 or something like that.
And that brown bread with the butter.
Yeah. Yeah. So always. Also, too, I always remember going there. It was so popular in the early to mid 90s. There was always a wait at Outback in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and you got your little buzzer and you had to wait. So a lot of good memories at Outback.
No doubt. Are we ready?
Do you want to say our number 1
together
on 3? I don't know what your number 1 is, but I'm pretty sure it's the same.
It's the same. In 3,
right, 2, 1. Olive Garden! So, it's the OG. It is the Olive Garden, the original gangsta. Olive Garden, that was, if everybody got straight A's, you were going to the OG. You were having a nice Italian dinner. My parents always got the tour of Italy, fettuccine Alfredo, chicken parmesan, and lasagna.
Oh, man.
Never-ending breadsticks, never-ending salad.
The breadsticks, the salad. So
good. I mean...
In college, I think I would get the red sangria there. I don't know how I think it was now, but then it was great.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to hear what people think about the Olive Garden. I've actually heard some people say, but anyways... For me, it'll always be the number 1 in casual chain restaurants. And yeah, what else you have to add about the OG?
Not much. I think that's it because we're almost out of time, babe. So the OG's great. I think we had a solid top 5 list for sure. If you guys disagree with us or you want to tell us some of your favorites, write a review and let us know.
Yep. Tell us your favorite entrees or things that you would get at those restaurants.
Yes.
We'd love to hear that.
Great.
And we've talked about this before, maybe doing like a retro date night where you and I, which don't get me wrong, I understand a lot of people still go to these restaurants and they're great. We haven't been to them in a while, and I would love to kind of go back and, relive some of that nostalgia and have fun with that.
For sure. I think it's a lot of, too, because we're trying to support local. We love to support local
do.
businesses
We
when we
do.
can.
So
Okay. But anyway, we love you guys. Such a fun episode, babe. Thanks for bringing that idea.
thanks. It was fun.
It was fun. All right. Love y'all. See you next time. Leave us that rating and review. Can't wait to hear what y'all get at those top restaurants. Bye.